I remember one day a girl actually told me that, you know, she was having over the phone. She was having these thoughts to like jump in front of a moving vehicle. I mean, it was really disheartening because she was only like maybe 16, 17, right? But these are the things that is running through people's mind. Working in the health sector, I've heard a lot of things that initially as a human being, you're like, oh my God, what did I just hear? But then you realize that these things are happening. Like, that's why I'm making this video, right? A lot of people want to shy away or pretend this thing is not happening until the consequences happen, right? But I believe that prevention is better than cure. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I hope you're doing well and I hope this video meets you well. If this is your first time seeing me, hi. My name is Lola and I like to talk about my faith. I like to talk about relationship and also topics relating to health. And if that sounds like something that you're interested in, make sure you click the subscribe button and you like this video so we can stay in touch. Okay, so today we're going to be talking about, therapy, and I'm going to be, giving you guys some, affordable alternative to therapy, because like we all know, therapy, or you might not know, but therapy can be very, very expensive. I've kind of done my research and it's not limited to a particular country or a location. I feel like it's just, it is what it is. Therapy is expensive everywhere. And I feel like it's important that, we have an alternative, to therapy, because there's so much going on out there. And I know that a lot of you guys, or if you're watching this as well, you might need to access therapy, but money might just be the barrier. And I hope that this video helps you. And I'm actually going to be putting a lot of information in the description box below. So make sure you check that out, okay? Because I've done my research and I've made sure that I'm able to kind of, give you info, that would help you. Okay, so the first one is actually a website called Help Guide. I'll see if I can put it on the screen, and I will, like I said earlier, I'll put the link in the description box below. You can check it out, and I think it's actually an amazing website because it goes through, different hotlines for mental health issues, addiction, grief, maybe it's childcare, domestic abuse, so it goes through each countries and then it gives you like a list of all the hotlines, and most of them, if not all, are actually free. Now, the only thing I would say is to just check with your phone provider to make sure that you're not going to be, charged extra. So that's the only thing. But most of the hotline, you just call them and then, you can speak to someone. And most of the times they're not really like clinicians. Most of the times they're, maybe volunteers, or, they're people who work in, the voluntary sector. So just be mindful of that as well. But on this website, there's also, crisis line as well. So if it's like an urgent thing, because I know from experience, like, working in the health sector, sometimes it's not just about someone's having a bad day and they want to talk. It's, maybe they're thinking of harming themselves, or they're thinking of harming other people, or doing something really bad, and they need someone to like, just talk to. So those numbers are there as well. So make sure that you check that out as well. If you need some clarity or you need information on how to go about it, again, you can reach out to me. All right. Before I leave this, I think one thing I also want you to keep in mind is when you are speaking to, a stranger, because that's what they really are, right, online. Just make sure that you're also protecting your personal information. So, because I feel like you can just get carried away with emotions and that, some hotlines or some numbers, they might ask for details like your address, just, if you disclose like maybe you want to harm yourself or harm other people, they might need that information to save you and to save other people. But mostly, you don't really have to give like your real name or, your address or, your date of birth. Like you shouldn't really have to disclose those sensitive information. So just kind of be mindful of that as well. Okay. So the second alternative to, therapy would be some apps, and there is millions of apps out there for mental health and addictions and things like that. So I can't really go into every single one in this video because it's impossible. But what I'm just pointing it out to you. Just do your research. Some of the apps are completely free, and some of them you do have to pay for. So depending, and even if you have to pay for them, it's usually like $1 a month or like 99 cents or something really basic. So don't be frightened about that. And some of the apps, they're not like you go into the app and then you speak to a clinician or psychologist or therapist, right? They're mostly to like manage symptoms of like whatever you're going through, right? I'm using mental health, but it can be anything as well, because I know some women are in like domestic abusive relationships. Some people are like struggling with addictions. There's just so many things. So just make sure you do your research and you're safe as well. And like I said earlier, make sure you protect your personal information as well, because you shouldn't really be disclosing that unless there's safety concerns. Okay. And also to let you know as well, it's a very informative video, so just bear with me. So from working in kind of the health sector, one thing that I can tell you for free, and this is something that is not really highlighted, but when you like go to maybe a new clinic or a new hospital, they'll ask you to like sign consent, the consent form. And the truth is, a lot of the times, a lot of people don't read it, right? But I try my best to read the consent form, because I always feel like you just never know, right? So one thing to be mindful of is, so if you disclose, like I said earlier, something like, you want to harm yourself, you want to harm other people around you, or, there's any safety concern, by, the law and, professional ethics and things like that, they do have the right to, disclose that information to a third party. Either that is somebody in your life that you've given the information to, or, it could be maybe the police, or it could be social services. So just be mindful of that as well. And I know this can sound very, very scary, but just understand that this kind of, the law is put in place to protect you, right? So it's not something like that's really bad, right? So just be mindful of that, okay? So the next one would be your workplace, okay? So if you're working, I know a lot of people actually don't know this, but if you're working, some workplaces, not all, but you can check, you can ask. I know some people might not want to ask. They might not want, maybe their manager or colleagues to know, but, you can check, the company's website, or, your contract and things like that from when you started working, and just see if they have like some kind of partnership with a third party organization to provide, therapy to their employees, right? Because most of the time it might not be free, mostly. So it will probably be like low cost, so it probably won't be free. But again, it just depends on your company. It depends on your benefit, because I know some health companies, they actually do give like free, therapy services to, their employees. So just check what is available for you. Now, you can see I'm like also advising you as I'm giving you the points as well, because I want you to be safe and I don't want you to kind of be caught off guard with things, okay? So with the workplace, I think it's very important for you to make sure that the company or the organization that is actually going to provide this therapy service is, they kind of are like a third party. So they're not like within your company. I mean, it just depends. Like, you might feel like, oh, that's fine, that's okay, I don't mind if, it's kind of like an in-house thing. But if you kind of want a bit more privacy, depending on what you need to talk about or what you want to disclose, I would, prefer it's like a third party organization, because that way there's limited chances of, some accidents happening. Because I've heard and I've seen situations where the person working downstairs who's a therapist is a sister to somebody's co-worker, and then they're disclosing information a patient shared with them, not knowing that the patient is that person's colleague. I hope you get what I mean. But I just feel like, read the consent form, read all about the confidentiality they have, and just make sure that you're kind of safeguarded in that way, so you're not like unnecessarily like exposing yourself and putting your job at risk or anything like that. And even if your job is not at risk, how some people can be as well. You wouldn't want maybe a sensitive information going around your workplace. So yeah. So the next one is definitely absolutely free. So this would be for my people of faith, and it's definitely prayer. Okay. Prayer is free. Prayer is not limited by time. God will never get tired of listening to you. You can pray anytime. There's no limitations. You don't need to call. All you need is your mouth and your voice. So whatever faith you're practicing, I know some people they just like to meditate. I think that's also like a form of like prayer, or connecting with your inner self. So that's free as well. If you're like, oh, I don't want to bother with all these things you're talking about, you can pray as well. There's actually research. I remember a few years ago I read a few research about this. There's research to show that when people pray who are having like different issues, and that there's definitely a hormonal release, like the stress level comes down, there's more peace, and just really good things happening. I'll see if I can find one of the research for the prayer, like to see the benefits of praying, I guess, and I will put it in the description box as well. So that's something that you can do. You don't have to ask anybody for help. You can do it by yourself, and God is not going to go and tell anybody your business. So you can be sure of that. Okay, guys, we're nearly there. So the next one would be reading books and also podcasts. I know there's so many self-help books out there, and a lot of podcasts as well. So depending on what you're going through, is it a breakup? Is it a mental health issues? Is it addiction? Is it domestic violence? Whatever it is, try and find books related to that thing and just educate yourself. Because the more you educate yourself, the more you're aware of what's going on, the more like relaxed, you can be, and the more you can take steps as well. I will try and put some book suggestions down, in the description box as well. Obviously, I won't be able to cover every single topic on, the planet, but, I'll try and put, ones I think might help people, my age, watching this. And if there is something in particular that maybe you are struggling to find, you can also reach out to me, and I'll see if I can find something for you and send it to you as well. Okay. So the next one would be, talking to trusted and safe people. Like in this, my big age, I realized that I'm not that old. I'm only 30 years old. Okay. I've realized that some people are actually not emotionally safe, right? And some people are not emotionally available. And the truth of the matter is, we're actually not all emotionally available. Because sometimes, maybe, a friend calls me and maybe they want to talk about something. And I'm like, I've just had a rough day. I'm still processing my own. Like, I don't know if I have the space for you, So for me, if there is an issue and, you want to just talk to someone in your immediate circle, make sure the person is someone that is trusted and someone that has been tested over the years. If one rule of thumb that I always use, right, is if this person is always telling you everybody's deep dark secrets, everybody's, business, they are so excited to, like, gossip to death about somebody's, private life or what someone else is struggling with, then obviously this person is not a safe person. When I was young, I didn't really like care too much about this. So if you're a young person, make sure you care about this, because this can definitely bite you in the bum and and just really hurt you. So make sure the person is safe, they're emotionally safe, and there's no crime in asking your friend or the person, are you emotionally available to, like, listen to this? I just need you to listen to me for like maybe 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes, and yeah, and of course that's free. You don't have to pay the person. You shouldn't have to pay the person, right? Okay, so the next one would be journaling. I remember during the pandemic, oh my gosh, this was an amazing tool. Like, a friend told me about it, and she shared how, she would journal and use apps and, use A4 paper, use her phone. And initially I was kind of like, ugh, that's a bit weird. Like, I'm too old for that. Like, when I was younger, I used to have a diary and stuff, but as I got older, I was like, that's a bit childish, But again, there's actually research to back it up, when there's something heavy on your mind and maybe you don't want to share it with someone, you can actually write it down physically. They actually say writing it is more powerful than, typing it out. So get a pen and a paper, an A4 page, write it out, and just get it out. After you finish writing it, you can rip the page up and put it in the bin or whatever. But the most important thing is to get it out of your system, because what tends to happen is as you're writing it out, you start to gain clarity about what's going on, or you start to realize that, wow, this is not really, a big deal. And trust me, when you do it often enough, you will start to get, a sense of peace and a sense of, I guess, joy, from it. Okay, guys, so we're coming to the end of the video now. So I'm just going to share 2 more tips and then that would be it. Okay. If you found this video helpful, make sure to click the like button, make sure to let me know in the comment section, and also subscribe to the channel. Okay, so the next one would be to actually see your GP or a doctor. Now, I know a lot of people do not want to be talking about any of these issues. A lot of people feel really scared, especially like a lot of people from my culture and my race. It's not something normal that we would do, but honestly, if it's needed, why not? Sometimes you have to go to the GP, or the GP is your last option, and you just sit across from them and you say, look, this is how I've been feeling. This is what I've been struggling with. Don't be afraid. Like, I have heard, working in the health sector, I've heard a lot of things that initially as a human being, you're like, oh my God, what did I just hear? But then you realize that these things are happening. Like, that's why I'm making this video, right? A lot of people want to shy away or pretend this thing is not happening until the consequences happen, right? But I believe that prevention is better than cure, right? So you can go to the GP and say, you're in a domestic abusive marriage, like your husband is harming you or your wife is harming you, or you're having thoughts of hurting yourself or hurting other people around you, or I remember one day a girl actually told me that she was having over the phone, she was having these thoughts to like jump in front of a moving vehicle. I mean, it was really disheartening because she was only like maybe 16, 17, right? But these are the things that is running through people's mind. These things are real. So you might be watching this video and you're like, oh, like, what's this all about? Well, you can thank God and clap for yourself, and maybe this video is not for you, right? But for people who actually need the help, I want you to know that it's okay to go to the GP, go to the doctor, and let them know what the issue is, okay? Because they'll be able to point you to the right direction, and they might be able to kind of fast track the the help that you need as well. It just all depends, okay? Now, One of the things that you also need to know is if the doctor is recommending for you to see like a psychologist or a therapist, there's usually like really long waiting lists with these things. It could be like 6 months, a year, 2 years as well, so just be mindful of that. But depending on the situation, they might be able to say like, oh no, this needs urgent, and this is a critical situation and we need to take action now. And then they might get you to see someone ASAP. So it just depends. So it's like cases by cases. They will treat it that way rather than a one standard procedure for everyone, or a protocol for everyone. Okay, so I think one of the other benefits of seeing the doctor or seeing your GP or general practitioner is they might need to prescribe you some medications, because some things are not just like normal. Some things are actually there's something going on in the body that is not right, and medication is needed to correct it. Okay, so that's why it's important to go to them and disclose it, and they'll be able to tell you, okay, maybe let's try this medication and see what's going on. Or they might suggest that, oh no, maybe you would benefit from CBT, like cognitive behavioral therapy, with a psychologist. So it just depends. Okay, so lastly, the truth is, with all this things that I've shared with you, the app, seeing your GP, the hotlines and things like that, the truth is you might just need to speak to a clinician, a therapist, a psychologist. So my advice to you would be to start saving up for the therapy sessions. Usually they would suggest like 12 sessions, so that would be like 3 months before things can kind of stabilize, especially if the situation is quite critical. They usually suggest like after 3 months you should be able to like have you should be able to get clarity on the situation, what's going on. Again, it depends. It depends what country, it depends, what the organization is. It depends on the clinician. So just check and see what's available. So while you're like saving up for, the clinician or the psychologist, you can use all these other free methods. Okay, guys, so we've come to the end of this video. And I want you to remember that you deserve healing, you deserve peace, you deserve a life free of this burden or heavy load or whatever it is that you're going through. So please do put in the work and try your best, okay? Don't forget to like this video and let me know in the comment section if you've tried any of the suggestions that I've, said, or if you have, other ones that you want to share with other people as well. Or, if there's something that you want to add to what I've already said, because remember, people that are, probably going to watch this video, they need the help. So the information is really, really important. All right. Okay, guys. So I will see you next week or in the next video. Till then, keep safe. And if you need to reach out to me, I will put the information in the description box below. I'll put my email and also my Instagram as well. You can send me a DM. All right. Take care. Bye.